Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 7. Module 7 is the start of our next assignment, which is an annotated bibliography, which is related to your research paper. So we're getting into the really big assignment for the class. This module, Module 7, does not have assignments that will take you very long to do, but that does mean that you may want to start working on the assignment that's going to be due in Module 8. Module 8 is the annotated bibliography where you'll turn in the final draft of it. So it's sort of introduced in Module 7, and you're going to do like a topic proposal for your research paper, but there's not a lot that's going to take you a lot of time. It's just a lot of preparation. So I'll show you what is going on here. So the first thing we want to do is do the readings. There's a lot of information in here about like how to find sources, how to evaluate sources. Some of this will be review, should hopefully be review for you, and some of it will be new, particularly thinking about like different ways to evaluate a source, how to check to make sure it's trustworthy, what are some things that you can explore about a source to make sure that the information that you're getting is accurate, that kind of thing. And I also have a link here to what's called the CRAP test. This is used very frequently by a lot of institutions. There's different versions of it, but basically it stands for currency, relevance, accuracy, authority, and purpose. And so you should be thinking about these terms as you are going through and finding sources for your research paper. These are the evaluation criteria that we're looking at. So that is some information just to keep in the back of your mind. You do have a quiz to take once you've gone through information on information literacy, all the Module 7 readings, the CRAP test, all of that. Once you're done with that, make sure that you take the quiz. And so that'll just be, that's one of our quizzes in the class that just kind of tests you over the basic information that you're expected to get out of the class. This section, then, I have a page in here that just gives you an overview of the research paper. So the research paper we're actually doing after the annotated bibliography. So the research essay is kind of the big project for the class, and it takes a lot of preparation. We're actually doing the research before you sit down to write the paper. And so these two modules, 7 and 8, are for the annotated bibliography, that's finding the sources. And then after that point is when you'll start writing the research paper, and we're going to go through several modules to complete that. So you have a lot of time to be working on this. So I give you a little overview here because a lot of students just want to know more about it, because you need to pick a topic at this point. So your topic needs to be something that you can do research on. And this is, I don't care what the topic is. It does not need to be an academic topic. It doesn't need to be an argument. Some students will fall back on topics just because they know they can find a lot of sources about them, and that's not the best strategy. I really encourage you to pick a topic where you are interested in actually doing the research. You want to know more about it. It may be something that's going to help you personally. So let's say you're planning on a trip somewhere and you want to research more about the city that you're traveling to or the country that you're traveling to. Maybe it's a historical time period that you heard about in your history class and you want to know more about it. Maybe it's something in your psychology class. Maybe it's something in your field of study. So you're planning on becoming a nurse and you have this particular area of medicine that you want to explore, or a particular medical topic that you want to explore. I get a lot of students who will pick topics that are personal to them. So like, for example, my son was just diagnosed with ADHD. So what are some things that I can research to help him out in school and at home? So lots of different things that you might be considering. There is no limit on the topic at all, except that you do have to be able to find 12 sources about it. So it can't be like so new that there's not enough sources about it. The type of sources, though, are really dependent on the topic. So you're going to find a lot more academic sources if you're researching schizophrenia or ADHD in kids or something like that, and you will find less academic sources if you're going to research Game of Thrones or dog grooming or something like that. So it's really kind of up to you as to what types of sources you're going to find. That's why it's 12 appropriate sources rather than academic. Again, you do not need to have a persuasion, so it does not need to be an argument in any way, but it does need to be something that you actually want to research. Do you want to know more about this? If the answer is yes, then it could be a potential topic. So that is the research paper itself. Before we get there, we're doing this annotated bibliography. So this is the assignment that's in Module 8, and this will come before the actual paper that you're writing. So an annotated bibliography is not an essay. It is a list of sources with paragraphs. And you want to make sure that you are just in your mind differentiating between an essay versus an annotated bibliography, because they're two different types of projects and you'll confuse yourself if you don't. So an annotated bibliography is an introductory paragraph with 12 sources. You need to be representing within those sources at least 4 different types. So you might look for a film, documentary, do a personal interview, a book, something like that would be fine. There are a lot of different options, and it does not need to be anything physical. So I would encourage you to go to your local library and find an actual physical book, but you don't necessarily have to, and not all topics will allow for that. You'll have an MLA citation for each source, but you are not going to include a works cited page, and you can write in first person if you want to for some of it, but you want to avoid second person. So those are kind of the basic overall what to expect. You have 3 options for turning in this bibliography. The first one is to write just a traditional annotated bibliography. I have an example here that you can follow if you want to, and it's basically just, we got the introduction paragraph that looks kind of like an essay, and then underneath that are your 12 what they call annotations. So each annotation is that works cited entry with a paragraph, which is not opening for me. So works cited entry with a paragraph. There's some examples. There's one in your textbook as well, so you can follow that example if you want. So there's information on preparing an annotated bibliography. It looks kind of like this. This is kind of long for what you need, because you only need about 5 to 8 sentences total. This one kind of divides out 2 paragraphs. That's totally fine if that's how you want to do it. But basically you want to include evaluation and summary. So each of these options includes evaluation and summary. So the second option is to actually have AI do the research for you. So this AI annotated bibliography is just kind of to start you off. It's not going to be perfect. So I've already done, let's see this one. I use Perplexity for mine, and I included this prompt, and I asked it to, because I'm doing some research on AI and assessment. And so I asked it to come up with these sources and create me an annotated bibliography with 5 to 8 sentences about each one. So you can see it's pretty long. And so what I'm going to do is copy and paste this into a Word document, and I'm going to then evaluate what it came up with. And so to do this, I'm going to have to access each source, which is going to be a challenge because as I'm looking through these, I may have to tailor my, I may have to change the prompt a little bit because it's including a lot of sources that I don't have access to. So you can see, like, I don't know where the Journal of Educational Technology Systems is. And so that's going to be a big challenge for me to access some of these books. I'm not going to be able to access as well. So, maybe need to change my prompt a little bit in order to get the ones that I can actually look at. Otherwise, it's not going to help me. So the main thing with this, though, is, and you can also like add sources with your own paragraphs. That's fine. Like if you want to do a personal interview, usually won't do YouTube sources as well. So if you want to find a video, so you can add those sources in there. Just note which ones are yours versus the AI. And then the big thing about using AI for anything in this class is it always is going to include some kind of analysis. So I want you to reflect on how accurate it is and all of these questions. So underneath all of the stuff that you copy and paste from AI, you have to include this analysis. Otherwise, you won't get credit for it. So that's an option. And then I also have an option for doing a visual annotated bibliography. So what I've done is I'm using this program called Lucid Whiteboard. And when you click on that, you get a bunch of different options. I chose a card sorting template, which I think kind of does what I want. There are some other options. They've got education templates. They've got research templates. You can kind of look around. It's a little bit annoying to use when you start off. But for me, this is a really cool visual way to organize my research. So I'm basically making a card for each source, and I'm going to do that for 12 sources. And then for each source, I've got sticky notes here that I can drop in, and I'm using like yellow for summary and blue for evaluation. And I'm just leaving a few comments for each one, and you can kind of zoom in and out, and that will allow you to just add as much information as you need, and really like visually make those connections. Other templates will allow you to actually create lines between sources to show how they're related to each other, but you could get really creative with this. It's a lot less writing, but it's a little bit more labor intensive because actually using the full extent of the templates is a little bit, it's trial and error. But that example will be linked there that you can look at. And if you have a similar program that works like in the same way with it's not Lucid, you can email me to see if you can use it. So those are your options. And then what you're going to do is give me a little bit of a proposal for what kind of topic you want for your research essay, and then what you're planning on doing for your annotated bibliography and that kind of thing. So if you have any questions as you start to do some brainstorming for your topic, let me know. Otherwise, have a great week.